Queen. Ribuan bla bla. Ay. Rambusan.
كيف حالكم؟ هاي برنامج هاي بس كنت بقول لكم انه هذا حساب الرسمي والوحيد في برنامج legally speaking, is called Discovery in the US. It's basically an exchange of the details from both sides of what their argument will be, a list of witnesses and evidence, clearly a big question over whether Prince Andrew himself will be required to testify in the event of a trial. Certainly, this crisis growing ever graver for both Prince Andrew and the larger royal family.
Many thanks indeed. What next? The legal proceedings against the Duke Prince Andrew. So just mean he could launch an appeal against the decision, which would somewhat delay proceedings. Meanwhile, discovery, that legal process where both parties share facts with each other, well, that will continue. Discovery, of course, includes depositions and interviews under oath. Both sides can also be subject to subpoena, requiring them to hand over records such as travel documents. Finally, there could be a settlement if both sides agree. That would bring proceedings to a close. Otherwise, this case will be heading to trial. Our correspondent Ali Fortescue joins us now from Buckingham Palace. Evening, Ali. I suspect I know the answer to this question, but are we hearing much from the palace this evening?
Well, Buckingham Palace have unsurprisingly said that they don't comment on ongoing legal cases, but undoubtedly this is a highly uncomfortable day, not just for Prince Andrew, but for the monarchy more broadly. I think it's hard to overstate the significance of this. A member of the royal family facing a civil sex case trial, that is a highly significant moment. Prince Andrew, of course, wanted to rebuild his reputation. This is a setback. He has been dogged by these allegations for years. It was 7 years ago that he first defended himself against sex abuse allegations. Since then, of course, he has stepped back from royal duties in 2019 because of his relationship with the disgraced late billionaire Jeffrey Epstein. He still, though, Prince Andrew still holds a number of military honorary titles, royal titles, still has links to some organisations, and I think the Queen this evening will be taking advice, will be focusing, of course, on how to uphold the reputation of the institution that she serves, but of course, as a mother too, will be facing huge concern about this latest development, and at a time when the royal family, the monarchy, want to be focusing and celebrating the Platinum Jubilee, the Queen's many years on the throne, there is no doubt, I think, that this is a very damaging distraction.
Thank you. Well, let's turn our attention, shall we, to the day's other big story now. And the Prime Minister has apologised after admitting that he was present at a bring-your-own booze party in Downing Street during lockdown. Boris Johnson insisted he believed it was a work event and not a party. His explanation wasn't enough for the Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer, who's now called on the Prime Minister to resign. First, let's listen to Boris Johnson's statement.
Mr. Speaker, I want to apologise. I know that millions of people across this country have made extraordinary sacrifices over the last 18 months. I know the anguish that they have been through, unable to mourn their relatives, unable to live their lives as they want, or to do the things they love. And I know the rage they feel with me and with the government I lead when they think that in Downing Street itself the rules are not being properly followed by the people who make the rules. And though I cannot anticipate the conclusions of the current inquiry, I have learned enough to know that there were things we simply did not get right. And I must take responsibility. Number 10 is a big department with the garden as an extension of the office, which has been in constant use because of the role of fresh air in stopping the virus. And when I went into that garden just after 6 on the 20th of May 2020 to thank groups of staff before going back into my office 25 minutes later to continue working, I believed implicitly that this was a work event. But Mr. Speaker, with hindsight, I should have sent everyone back inside. I should have found some other way to thank them. And I should have recognised that even if it could be said technically to fall within the guidance, there would be millions and millions of people who simply would not see it that way. People who suffered terribly, people who were forbidden from meeting loved ones at all, inside or outside. And to them and to this House I offer my heartfelt apologies. And all I ask is that Sue Gray be allowed to complete her inquiry into that day and several others, so that the full facts can be established. And I will, of course, come back to this House and make a statement.
Well, the Labour leader, Sir Keir Starmer, dismissed the Prime Minister's account of what happened, called on Boris Johnson to resign.
Well, there we have it. After months of deceit and deception, the pathetic spectacle of a man who's run out of rope. His defence, that he didn't realise he was at a party. It is so ridiculous that it's actually offensive to the British public. He's finally been forced to admit what everyone knew, that when the whole country was locked down, he was hosting boozy parties in Downing Street. Is he now going to do the decent thing and resign? Mr. Speaker, I appreciate the point that he's making about the event that I attended. I want to repeat that I thought it was a work event, and Mr. Speaker, I regret very much that we did not do things differently that evening. Mr. Speaker, as I've said, and I take responsibility and I apologise, Mr. Speaker. But as for his political point, I don't think that he should preempt the outcome of the inquiry. He will have a further opportunity, Mr. Speaker, I hope, to question me as soon as possible. Everyone could see what happened. It started with boozy parties in the street during lockdown. The Prime Minister pretended that he had been assured there were no parties. How that fits with this defence now, I do not know. Then the video landed, blowing the Prime Minister's first defence out of the water. So then he pretended he was sickened and furious about the parties. Now it turns out he was at the parties all along. Can't the Prime Minister see why the British public think he's lying through his teeth? Mr. Speaker, it's up to the right honourable gentleman to choose how he conducts himself in this debate. that does not from the basic point that I want to make today, which is that I accept that we should have done things differently on that evening. As I've said to the House, I believe that the events in question were within the guidance and were within the rules, and that was certainly the assumption on which I operated. But can I say to him, Mr. Speaker, that he should wait, before he jumps to conclusions, Mr. Speaker, that he should respect the
let's be honest, Sir Keir Starmer was never going to be accepting the Prime Minister's apology, but more worryingly for the residents of Number 10, another who was dissatisfied, the Scottish Conservative leader, Douglas Ross, who's now joined calls for Mr. Johnson to resign.